Ignite Session 11. You've made it this far. We are now on the homeward stretch towards Session 20, and we're going to talk about following up with leads. I'm your coach, facilitator, instructor from afar, Robert Earl, and you're probably sitting there saying, Robert, how much more can you really tell me about following up with leads? Well, you'll be surprised. There's a lot for us to dig into here in this particular session. So let's get into our agenda. But before we do, you knew it was coming. TCPA, make sure that you're in compliance with your do not call list. All of our disclosures are in here, negotiating commissions, that anytime we refer to commissions, etc., that they're completely negotiable between the parties, and you'll go through these details. You are now in the third segment. We talked about keeping the leads. Now we're going to really follow up with the leads in this third segment because we want to lead to our transactions to be able to get to that particular point as we go through this. So we're going to learn lead conversions. We're going to how to convert a lead to an appointment. We're going to talk about then how to improve our conversion rates, have some recaps and ahas, and then jump into our daily success system. So as we look at lead conversion, we're going to have a quote. And the quote's from Gary Keller from Shift. The effort that you give to converting leads must match the effort you give to generating them. Just because you got somebody to raise their hand doesn't mean that they are a done deal yet. You have steps that you need to go through. And so that effort that you gave to stir up the business, shall we say, and get them to say, I want to learn more information, you then need to match that and continue on with your efforts of what you're doing. So we are going to look at the lead conversion process. The book Shift talks about, and then let's talk about what Shift and why the book Shift was written. In 2008, the marketplace went through a considerable shift. It went through a time where it was one type of market, it went to another. We've had the same thing occur from COVID in 2020 to the marketplace we're in today. This is not the first time we've been through this. Yet when we became purposeful about our business throughout the shift, we looked at it and we saw that we needed that consistently getting every possible appointment from the lead you generate isn't complicated, but it does require preparation, practice, and purposeful action as we go through the steps of capture, connect, close, and cultivate. So this is something that we need to be looking at as we go through our business, our day, our schedule, in the way in which we look at preparation, practice, and purposeful action. After you lead generate, lead conversion is the most business critical activity that you have to master. It is where the possible business that comes from lead generating activities turn into probable business that turns into profitable business. This is the cycle that we are working, individuals, couples, people that we're working with. These are the steps that we're moving through. Converting the lead to an appointment has so much importance because it's how you have a chance at earning income. It's how you have a chance to get them in front of you and to actually sign an agreement or electronically sign an agreement. Converting appointments to business is also a key for economic success. You'll learn more about converting the appointment to business starting in session 14 of Ignite. But until then, we want to focus on the how now, and so that you know the why. We'll skip past the ahas real quick here because I really want to jump into converting a lead to an appointment and spend the time on this. In your participant guide, I want you to turn to this particular page. At its simplest form, capturing is collecting the minimal amount of valid information for a potential buyer or seller. This is where we've talked about their name, their email, their phone number, and if possible, their address. This is the information that we've collected from our Ford discussions. This is the tagging that we've done of they came through an open house or they replied to a particular social media post. This is the way in which you can get in contact with them and the details that you have. It could be all of the details or the offer that you made, a seller, a mailer, a flyer, those types of details, a particular for sale sign. Capturing that information is making sure that you have the minimal amount of valid contact information for a valid buyer or seller. Also, when we're talking about capturing, it's to have some of the information and the framework to be able to ask them more in-depth questions. If I were need to contact you, what number would you prefer that I use? Would it be an office number? Would it be a home number? Do you want me to call if it's a partnership or a husband-wife? Do I get in contact with her? Do I get in contact with him? Those information that you make note of. If I found exactly what you were looking for, how would I contact you? Do you want me to text you right away? Do you want me to email you? Do you want me to give you a call right away? If I found out the information that you're wanting, how can I get this to you? This will give you information so that you're meeting them and you're providing service to them. And just by doing this step, this page right here is one of the most important pages out of all of Ignite. All leads may not be ready for an appointment, so your goal is to gain that mind share and continue to stay in that close emotional proximity and business proximity so that when they're ready and when they think of real estate, they think of you. All right. So the next part is we want to actually have the connections. And when you're doing your connections, it's important during this step to listen, ask good questions, offer solutions, listen and answer, not tell and sell. Keep the focus of the conversation on them and their wants and needs. The goal of the communication, in addition to building the relationship, is to determine their urgency, to give enough information to know how to prioritize the lead and help you to know what touch campaign to use as a follow-up plan. Do I need to accelerate things because they're relocating, they're in from out of town, they have to make a decision by the end of this weekend? That's going to have a different level of urgency and a different connection plan than somebody that says, you know, if you come across the right property with the right acreage, I might consider it. This is where you also are embedding your value proposition into the conversation. Wow, you know, I've got a checklist, I've got a questionnaire that I go through with every buyer. I would love to have the opportunity to sit down with you and go through this list. Well, now that differentiates yourself in that you actually have a checklist. You actually were working with the individual and providing them with your value, that you listen to what their wants and needs are and are able to put this down in writing. Role playing and practicing your conversation is key. This is why you've done the open houses, so that you're used to talking to individuals. You're not just having a conversation with yourself. So finding other agents, working with your productivity coach and asking, are there other agents that I can role play and real play with? Even if it's a newer agent, having conversations will get you out of your own way and get you out of your own head and actually allow you to start to communicate. Knowing the outcome that you want from a conversation before you start the conversation is key. Knowing where you want to go with the conversation. This is not a courtroom drama. You are allowed to ask leading questions. And so you want the questions to lead towards the conversation being a close, towards an appointment, towards a next meeting. You're going to work backwards in your conversation and say, if I want this to occur, I need to ask them this, 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 and this. And that's where you're going to practice and outline what you're doing. You see, there are connection questions that you can have: the who, what, where, why, when, and how. And being able to go through these as a checklist, finding out more about who they are and where they're coming from. What do they want or need? Where do they want or need you to do this? What area? What is their specific issues? Is it on financing it? Is it on getting a particular price for the property? Is it on being in a particular school district area? Why do they need your needs, and how can you fill in that situation? When do they want it? What's their time frame? What is their urgency? And how do they plan to do it? Are they trying to do it on their own by just going out on Saturdays and Sundays to open houses? Or can you provide them with an alternative of being the professional and speed up the process by being a trusted professional that can help them through every one of the steps of the way? Do you have to ask every single one of these questions? This isn't a checklist of who, what, where, when, why, and how. It's prompters for you to be able to use this information. And don't forget Ford, family, occupation, recreation, dreams, to weave those topics in as well. This would be able to assist you. In your participant guide, you'll also find a list of questions categorized by buyers and sellers that you can customize and use in your own business. As you go through the connection process and cultivate the relationship, you'll learn more about the person and what they're looking to do. And as you learn if they're looking to buy or sell, you can start to use these particular questions. Be sure to document conversations and their outcome in your database, in your data bank, immediately after talking to the potential buyer or seller. Keeping strong, well-documented records of communication will help you to know how to move the relationship forward, how to come from contribution in the future, and help you assess how to prioritize the lead. If they let you know they want to be in a particular area and you see a positive article come up on that area, boom, you now send that over to them, and you have presented your value, that you listened, you made note of it, you paid attention of what it is that their wants and needs are and how you can assist them. Now, we jump to number 4 on Cultivate, because there are times where they are not ready to do the close, and we have to cultivate before we can go to an appointment or get them to agree to work with us. This is where the cultivation comes in. In Shift, we knew that as the market slowed a little bit, we had to do more cultivation. We had to stay in front of somebody so that we were the one that when they ultimately made a decision, we were the one that they worked with. You can't know or predict when they will come to a decision. But if you're reconnecting with them in a systematic way, you'll have a great chance of being there when they do. That's when you'll be able to close for an appointment. That's from the Shift book, page 105. Couple bits of your enrichments in your homework, MREA and Shift would be great books for you to read as well. To keep mind share, you will use a touch campaign to stay in communication, continue to cultivate the relationship until they're ready for an appointment. Story time, not in your student guide. Let me share this with you. I got a phone call one time. Actually, it was an email that came back, and the email said, I would like to get in contact with you. You don't know me. I was, okay, wait a second. How is somebody reaching out to me? Their aunt had been somebody that I had stayed in contact with. They had been getting the newsletter when the aunt became ill. Now, I probably should have stayed in better contact, but it was very, very quick that the aunt became ill and had a condo. Her emails started to get forwarded to her family. Her family said, you've stayed in contact with our aunt. We need to sell the condo. We would like you to handle the sell. This was somebody that had already passed away, and because I had stayed in contact with them, I was able to get that business. That was cultivating and staying in contact with it because of my systems that I had put in place. I had developed a mind share not only with this individual, but with the family for this to be able to occur. Cultivation is the step in the model in which agents find themselves struggling. They will also spend too much time on a cultivation. If the person isn't ready yet, they're not ready yet. Therefore, we need to capture and connect with more individuals so that when someone is ready to be able to do business now, that you're able to close them and be able to go through this. There are some people that are just not quite motivated to do business yet. You need to be the one that is staying in contact with them so that when they do make a decision, you're there. Agents don't put the right systems in place to continue to follow up with that lead. Look at this story that I told about my father and matchbook covers. He did not have a system. If that person didn't decide to do something when he wrote it down on that list, they were gone. They were not on a follow-up system for months later, weeks later, years later, etc. That's why putting them into that cement and the conversion, the 36 touch program, is very, very important until they are actually ready to do an appointment. In the meantime, you still need to make money. You don't make money unless you're selling homes. You can't force them to do something. You have to move on to the next individual while still staying in contact with this individual. That's how top agents are successful, is that they are working on every phase of these 4 phases at the same time. This is what brings us into then the close standpoint. There is a close page in your participant guide. You'll find out more information about the types of closes to use when you real play or role play and you practice your conversations. You see, closing is when you actually ask for the appointment. Think of it in this framework. You are concluding one conversation and seeing if there's a new one that will take place. This could be a follow-up call. This would be a formal sit-down buyer consultation or listing appointment for them to make a decision and sign the paperwork to work with you. Just like the touches you use to stay in emotional contact and emotional proximity with them, they have varying degrees of effectiveness. So what format do you think asking for the close would be most effective? If I've got a text message from you that says, want to meet, versus an email that says, hey, should we get together, versus a phone call versus having an opportunity to get together. You see that these formats, there are stronger formats that will be more effective. The least effective of just sending over the text message or the emails as opposed to picking up the phone and calling them and following up and following through, even if you get a voicemail, until they decide to sit down and meet with you. So what are the important elements to schedule? First of all, you are not just looking for a yes as a response to asking for an appointment. As soon as you get the yes, you should schedule the appointment at everyone's earliest convenience. This means the date, the time, the location, the confirmation. Don't just take it as we're meeting at Panera or Starbucks. Which specific one are you meeting at? If it's your office, providing them with information as to your office location, directions, where to park. A hidden gem in this is you taking a look at your schedule before the week even starts and knowing what places that you have available. If your kid has a soccer game coming up or practice and you need to attend a PTA meeting, a group that you're involved with, and it meets on Tuesday evenings, don't give that time available. There's something called an alternate choice close. Easy for me to say, right? Where I would say to you, I would love to get together with you. Will Monday or Wednesday work best for you? Notice I didn't even provide them with the opportunity of Tuesday because I already have an appointment, a commitment for that particular day. When I set the appointment, I want to make sure that I get all of the information so that it is a true appointment so that I can get the people to actually show up. This also means getting in contact with them to confirm the appointment. In the end, if they can meet and have a good enough reason to meet, they're going to meet. They're going to come in and see you. If they don't, they won't. That's okay. You really don't care about what their answer ultimately is about the appointment or not having the appointment because you're not getting people to do anything they don't want to do. This isn't Wolf of Wall Street where you say, well, sell me this pin. This is you being of value to assist them in their buying and selling needs. If they don't have the immediate need, if they don't want to do it, then you put them back into the cultivate category and continue to cultivate until they actually are able to be closed for appointment. You're just going to ask and respond until they agree that meeting with you makes sense or it doesn't. Either way, you both win, and it's win-win or no deal. Remember that from our Y4C2Ts and our belief system that we covered all the way back in session 1. You're seeing how the sessions stack on top of each other and have building blocks. We're going to skip through the ahas in this particular one because I want to really talk about improving your conversion rate as well. So you learn the steps and models to be able to go through this. Now we want to talk about the improvement of your conversion rate and say way you can go through this. What do we mean by a conversion rate? A conversion rate, let's say that you ask 10 leads to set an appointment, and only 8 of them actually set the appointment with you. Your conversion rate would be 8 out of 10. It would be 80%. We want to improve that by taking some purposeful steps. Your ultimate goal is to increase your skills so that you can convert at the highest percentage possible. And a key is that if you're able to convert at a higher level, it will take you the same amount of time to get more business. Because if you set up and 8 out of 10 decide to work with you, and out of that 8 of them decide to actually buy or sell a home, you had 8 appointments and you got 8 checks. If your skills were not strong enough and you asked 10 people and only 4 of them decided to do an appointment, now you only have the possibility of cashing 4 checks. See where I'm going with this? Having your conversion rates is very, very important, and knowing how you can improve this. Sometimes the lead conversion is based upon the total number of leads in your database. Therefore, you need to be talking to more people. Sometimes it's based just upon the leads that are cultivated at the current time. What's important to evaluate your business is what works for you. Do you need more people? Do you need to talk to more people? Do you need to refine your systems that you're going through? See, we're going to look at the ways to improve your conversion rates. Once you understand what a conversion rate is, you can then move from E to P. We talked about that again in session 1. It's in the Keller Williams 6 personal perspectives. This is when you get more purposeful about improving your conversion rates. Gaining insight and getting more purposeful will ultimately bring you more closed transactions. Some activities that you can engage in to improve your conversion rates will include time blocking for lead conversations. If you erase it out of your schedule, if something else comes up, you need to replace it at another time. Using systems and conversations, practicing your conversations, your dialogues, asking for the close, mastering buyer and seller presentations, relationships, and making sure that there's time in your time block for these items to occur. Conversations are a powerful tool that can help you say what you intend to say in the most powerful and impactful way. Use systems that support lead conversion in your business. Systems make sure that you take the right steps at the right time to continue and gain mind share. Don't neglect part of your database. Reconnect with each person on a regular, systematic basis. And when you do, make sure that you ask for referrals. Conversion activities are not just for leads, they're also for your sphere of influence, for your contacts. Come from care, come from curiosity, come from contribution, and you get back in relationship with your past contacts and your past conversations. And knowing who to prioritize in your leads, this is an opportunity for you to segment, use your opportunity pipelines if needed within Command to be able to show which individuals are in the appointment phase, which are in the conversion phase, which ones are in they're looking but we haven't set an appointment yet. Knowing how to convert those qualified leads while still working with the rest of your database is going to be very, very important. So we're going to capture the appropriate information to be able to get a hold and stay in contact with individuals. We're going to connect to assess their needs and establish a relationship. We're going to cultivate that relationship if needed when we go through the steps, and then we're going to close by asking for the appointment. We don't have to necessarily go through the cultivate phase. We can go straight to the close. If they're not ready yet, remember the quote from Gary Keller, That's okay. It's fine. We'll be in a win-win situation. We'll get together when they are particularly ready. You didn't lose anything. You have a future opportunity as long as you continue to stay in the mind share position with them. Lot of information. This is where I was saying that there's more details to lead follow-up, and it's this system, it's this process that you go through and become very purposeful about. 3 months, 6 months, a year into business, I would recommend that you come back to this system. I was so excited about this. I didn't even go through my steps over here on the side of the converting the leads and then how to improve the rate. I was just so entrenched in this because I know how important this is for you and your business. Would love to hear back from you. Leave a comment, send me a note, fill out a referral. I mean, a evaluation on how we're doing here with these sessions you're going through. KW Cares, please support it if you can, and KW Next Gen. So we had our recaps and ahas, our ahas of how we think about being purposeful of these steps. Think about how your thinking has changed with regard to, say, lead conversion, practicing, being able to work with someone. If they say, no, not now, that's fine. It's a win-win situation. I'm going to be the one that they work with when they do make the decision. That makes me feel a lot better as long as I have a system to stay in contact with them. I don't just put them on a shelf somewhere and forget about them. I take action on this so that I'm not just working with one part of my database. I'm working with all of my database. I'm using tools and models and systems, especially KW Command, to be able to help me through this. Time to jump into our success system. Our success system is very, very important to us, that we're continuing to have the conversations. Your conversations might now be segmented into, let me follow up with that individual and ask for an appointment. I'm going to put them at the top of the list. Then I'm going to follow up with people that are leads and try to move them and cultivate. Then I'm going to follow up with individuals and see if I can move them from the capture to the connect to the cultivate or the close standpoint of it. It gives me a framework to be able to do this. I'm going to add new contacts at a consistent basis, reach out at key touch points to individuals with handwritten notes, do my 10-5-1. The one might be a reinforcement for somebody that's thinking about doing an appointment. Always be on the lookout for enrichments for yourself and take the time to listen to a podcast, to work on your skill sets that you're going through. Reopen the student guide so that you have your details there of words that work in conversations for buyers and sellers. Do all your communication in a TCPA manner. Follow the do not call list. I engage every conversation in the spirit of contribution, and people are happy to be in relationship with me. That affirmation will go a long way towards helping you and supporting you. Set some time aside to do some role play now that you're looking at particular types of closes, particular types of conversations that work, that are proven to work with buyers and sellers, that are proven to get action. Put together your call list and have your conversations. The best time to do this is before your time that you have set aside to actually do your lead generation conversations. Don't take up 35 of your 45 minutes putting together a list of who you're going to call. A system like KW Command can help you with this. update all of your contacts. If they said no to the appointment at this time and they gave you a reason, make note of it so that you can follow up and follow through with them. When that objection is eliminated, when the time frame becomes right, you'll have the opportunity to follow up with them. Your data bank will have that information so that you don't have to remember it. Celebrate your successes that come in. Start to take action. Some of your action will be making sure that you set up a time with your tech trainer in your market center so that you have information about how to master command. Also with your productivity coach, if you need to reach out to me, please do so. We're here to assist you and help you to get to the next level. That next level is working on strengthening the relationships. Strengthening relationships and being in a position where when they think of real estate, they think of you. That they are only going to talk to one, potentially two agents. How do you develop the mind share so that you're the one that they speak with? You're the one that is comfortable and confident that you're going to come from contribution, provide them with the best value possible because you're looking out for their wants and needs. You're following the Y4C2Ts and doing things in a win-win relationship with integrity to be able to assist them because together everyone achieves more. Thank you for getting through session 11. We'll see you in session 12. Make it a great day.